I indeed feel greatly privileged to be part of this historic moment which is entwined with the year-long Kakatiya festival. The coffee table book on the Kakatiya Dynasty will be of great importance as it is being released during the festival, which is embedded between the 750th year of the coronation of Rani Rudramadevi and the 800th year of Ramappa temple. The book has frozen history within its covers to depict the culture and heritage of the Kakatiya dynasty. I would certainly like to compliment the Kakatiya Heritage Trust and the Civil Society Initiative established under the guidance of Sri Paparao Garu and Professor Panduranga Garu for having brought out this great, wonderful coffee table book. I think, sir, you have rightly named it coffee table book because the first thing that we do in the morning is to take a cup of coffee, and if it's there on the table, we would certainly not miss seeing this, rather than call it a bedtime reading book, which I think is a more difficult thing. So I would like to congratulate you for this good title that you have given. పాండవులు కాకతీయ రాజ్యంలో వనవాసం చేశారో లేదో నాకు తెలియదు, కానీ నేను కొన్ని నెలలు నర్సంపేటలో వనవాసం చేశాను. అది నాకు చాలా బాగా గుర్తుగా ఉంది. ఇప్పటి నుంచి 40 ఏళ్ళు ముందు I was there as ASP Narasimhan, and that is how I remember the forest of Narasimhan and the Parkal lake more than anything else. But today I feel privileged that I am releasing a coffee table book on this great dynasty rule in that same kingdom. I am also delighted to note that the architectural marvel Ramappa temple will turn 800 on April 18, and as coincidence would have it, it is also the World Heritage Day declared by the UNESCO and is marked as a day to celebrate heritage of mankind and nature all over the world. It is also planning to celebrate the 800 years of Ramappa temple by 2013, which will act as a curtain raiser for taking the Kakatiya monuments to World Heritage in association with Archaeological Survey of India, the Andhra Pradesh State Archaeology Department, the Department of Tourism and Culture, and District Administration. What is so specific about Ramappa temple and the Kakatiya dynasty or the Kakatiya rule? I think there are a lot of lessons that we can learn about the whole rule. One main thing is being that in these days, when we build something, we normally name it after the national leaders or political leaders or whichever leader that you want. But here was an example where the Ramappa temple was not named after the king, but it was named after the man who really conceived, the architect who conceived Ramappa. That is the beauty of it. And this is a lesson that I think we need to learn in the whole concept. Ramappa temple is an engineering and technological marvel. It is the best example of the Kakatiya dynasty art, music and dance. Intricate carvings line the walls and cover the pillars of the center. And the hall in front of the sanctorum is filled with exquisitely carved pillars, and the beauty of it that it combines both light and space. These days, even in a small auditorium, when we have pillars, you find the visibility gets blocked this way, that way, or the space gets crumpled. But here is the architectural wonder where the light and space both have been given a great attention as far as the Ramappa temple is concerned. The 1,000-pillar temple is yet another one which stands out as a masterpiece and achieved major heights in terms of architecture. It is a specimen of the architecture of the 12th century. This Kakatiya period has also had a long-lasting heritage in terms of learning of poetry. Bamera Potanna is known for his translation of the Bhagavata Purana from Sanskrit to Telugu. He was a Telugu and Sanskrit scholar, and his Andhra Maha Bhagavatamu is popularly called as the Potanna Bhagavatam. At an early age, he wrote the Bogini Dandakam, his first poetic venture. He then went on to write Veerabhadra Vijayam. As a young man, he was a devotee of Shiva. Later, he became a devotee of Rama and more in the concept of salvation. In his perception, there was no difference between Shiva and Rama, and the same was reflected in his Padyam. Chetularanga Shivuni Pujin Pedini. Noru Novanga Harikirti Nudvedini. Dayanu Satyamu Lonuga Talupedini. Kaluganetiki Tallulu Kadupu Chettu. Persons who do not worship Lord Shiva with their hands, praise Lord Vishnu with their mouth, do not have mercy and do not talk the truth, have no meaning to their birth. I am afraid this is a very dangerous signal that he is giving to all of us in today's culture, particularly the last few things of not having mercy and not talking the truth. I mean, this is the depth of his poetry. And another place he says, Palikedi Bhagavata Mata, Palikinchedi Vadu, Ramabhadrudu, Palikina Bhava Rama Gunata, Palikeda Verundugata Palukal Nelu. Translated, it means that which is spoken is the Bhagavatam, and then one who made me speak or chant this is Lord Rama. The result of chanting this Bhagavatam is ultimate freedom, the liberation of the soul. So let me sing it, since there is no other story better than this. Here comes the concept of Sharanagati or surrender to the Lord. He says, I did not write this. This was written by Lord Rama. In fact, it is said that he only wrote the first verse, and when he came back after his bath, he found that all the other 3 lines had been written. And when he asked his daughter who wrote this, she said probably a Lord wrote it. That was his concept and his faith in God, and a very important thing again. The rich heritage and poetic expression Potanna Bhagavatam has given to the Telugu people is remarkable. There is no home in the state where the simple and complex poems of Bomera Potanna are not noted, recited. However, I am afraid slowly the rendering of poems is on the decline, and I do hope the trust, the Kakatiya Heritage Trust, has taken note of this and will work to keep the flavor of Potanna more pronounced. I am also glad to know that the trust is planning to create a memorial to Potanna, who hails from Bamera in this very district. The Kakatiya contribution to art and culture was not only limited to their marvelous temples. There was so much of literature which was produced under their patronage. One of the fine examples of the times are the works of Jaya Senani. The general scholar wrote 3 Sanskrit treatises on dance, Nritya Ratnavali, Geeta Ratnavali, and Vadya Ratnavali. Unfortunately, only Nitya Ratnavali is available now, and I am glad to note that the Kakatiya Heritage Trust has brought out its English translation recently. It is very important to note that Kakatiyas have contributed a lot to the society, apart from the contribution to arts and culture. This is where I think it lies, a lesson lies to us. Their irrigation technology through a chain tank system is one such final example. The system is so sustainable that thousands of tanks built 1,000 years ago are still functional and are the main source of livelihood in many areas of this region even today. There is a lot for us to learn from the Kakatiya friend. We are all talking of water preservation, how exactly to save water. But here is an example where they built lakes, tanks, bunds properly, so the bunds not that they get flooded and the water is wasted. I don't know why we cannot take a lesson from the Kakatiya period. And now that Mr. Papa Rao and his heritage has brought out this book, and I suppose we will take a cue from this and try and see how we can conserve water. I would like to thank the Kakatiya Heritage Trust mainly for bringing up this book on heritage, because I am afraid we have a very rich heritage. India's heritage is extremely rich. You can take any field for that matter. Maybe architecture, maybe medicine, maybe metallurgy, maybe astrology, maybe astronomy, mathematics. You can take any field. I think our heritage is very, very rich. And there is nothing that India has not produced, which the world has now today produced. Unfortunately, we always seem to be looking to the West for learning new things. It is only sort of reinventing the wheel. Starting from the simple thing like yoga or pranayam, which all of us probably think that today the fashion statement is that I am practicing pranayam for 40 minutes or I am spending 20,000 rupees on learning yoga. I think there is nothing very new about this. All this is already there in our system. Unfortunately, our heritage, we have forgotten our heritage and have started living an entirely new life, and that probably is the reason for all the ailments that we are all going through. People in the past used to lead a healthy life because they used to work. Unfortunately, our work has stopped today. That today, after age of 25, 30, we are not able to sit on the floor and eat today. Today, many of us cannot sit cross-legged on the floor. But probably in the ancient days, there were people who were 100 years old who could comfortably sit on the floor and eat still. Why was this happening? It was because of the disciplined life that they are living. And this is our heritage. And I'm extremely happy that the Kakatiya Heritage Trust has sought to bring out this heritage out. Seldom what happens is absence of evidence is taken as evidence of absence. And so we think that we don't know anything at all about this. This is our problem. And I'm happy that a trust like this has been formed. And I do hope, sir, that you will take up more and more, unearthing of more and more of our rich Indian heritage and bring it forth to society. And it is time that we will feel proud as Indians that we have a heritage as rich as, which incomparably rich to the rest of the world. Here we have made a beginning with the Kakatiya heritage, and I do hope that I will have the good fortune of seeing all these wonderful creations in Warangal someday. Mr. Ponna Lakshmi has been promising me for 3 years now. Hopefully before I leave Andhra Pradesh, I will have the pleasure of seeing the 1,000 pillar temple and the Ramappa temple and the various things in Warangal. I do hope, now that I have released the coffee table book, I'm sure I will be welcomed into Warangal district to visit these places. And there should be no objection to my visiting Warangal district with Mr. Vinod Kumar here and Mr. Papa Rao here. I'm sure I'll have the privilege of seeing Warangal one of these days. I'd once again like to congratulate Mr. Papa Rao, Mr. Panduranga Rao, and all members of the Heritage Trust for this wonderful get-up today and a wonderful coffee table book that you released. You have brought forth life into society. You are given us a wealth which I think we should need to cherish at all times. Thank you very much.